welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving straight into what I consider one of the most critical parts of Chapter 7, translating that massive, highly strategic migration away from VMware Cloud Foundation and back to a physical bare metal environment into a strictly practical, human-centered playbook. Look, if you're a C-suite exec or an IT director right now, you know the hardware is only half the battle. If your people aren't ready, well, this whole migration is going to stall out. Taking a quick look at our roadmap for today, we're going to cover the migration readiness trap, how to properly inventory your team's skills, defining that target stack, what we call training under fire, and finally, building lasting institutional knowledge. So let's jump right into Section 1, the migration readiness trap, and exposing this massive blind spot. Okay, picture this. It's a catastrophic risk. You go out and buy millions of dollars in new hardware, you rack it, and then you suddenly realize your team has completely lost their bare metal muscle memory. We call this the abstraction gap. Basically, your staff has been safely wrapped up in VMware software-defined constructs for years, right? And now suddenly, they have to relearn BIOS configurations, physical RAID controllers, and low-level firmware management entirely from scratch. It's honestly like moving from a self-driving car back to a manual transmission. Your team is leaving this really comfortable software-defined current state using tools like vSphere, and their target state is highly physical. We're talking bare metal OS installations, intricate networking protocols like BGP, and the very real, very dusty challenge of actual physical hardware fault diagnosis. And the harsh reality here, ignoring this specific knowledge gap is exactly what brings massive migrations to a grinding halt. Seriously, if your team can't trace a physical cable or figure out a failed drive controller under intense pressure, that nice, neat little maintenance window you planned is going to quickly spiral into a massively extended, painful outage. Which brings us to Section 2, inventorying your IT skills, where we map the current state to the target state. Look, you cannot properly train your staff if you don't actually know where they're falling short. A structured skills inventory is absolutely your foundation here. You've got to survey your staff's current VMware proficiency and rigorously, and I mean rigorously, map those gaps to the new hardware. And remember, categorize these needs by role. Your sysadmins are going to need vastly different training than your network engineers or your help desk folks. Moving on to Section 3, defining the target stack, and why locking in these decisions before procurement is so crucial. So, buying training courses before confirming your exact vendor stack? Yeah, that is a massive budget risk. Ambiguity literally kills momentum. Your hardware choices are going to dictate very distinct training tracks. For example, moving from hyperconverged vSAN to a dedicated pure storage environment means your team needs deep training on SAN and NAS protocols. Why? Because concepts like vSAN's array air quoting just don't have a direct physical equivalent. You have to lock these hardware decisions in first. Furthermore, you've got to establish a strict accountability matrix, a RACI. You need to definitively establish who assigns the training, who actually delivers it, and who tracks its completion. Because a training plan without milestones, that's just a wish list. No migration phase should even begin until the prerequisite training is formally signed off by the responsible manager.
And of course, you must properly fund this transition. Ensure vendor-led training happens before your labs are built, not simultaneously. And this is a big one, budget for backfill coverage. I mean, your engineers absolutely cannot effectively learn complex physical routing if their phones are ringing off the hook with password reset tickets, right?
All right, let's get into Section 4, training under fire, or what I like to call the messy middle of cutover.
Welcome to the execution phase. It is a high-stress environment. And look, we just have to accept that things will inevitably break. But we need a powerful mindset shift here. Hardware failures aren't disasters. They are mandatory training under fire moments. Seeing a drive fail under heavy load surfaces failure modes that literally no pristine lab environment could ever reproduce. It's an irreplaceable chance for your team to execute RMA processes in real time. But to bring order to this migration chaos, you need a strict incident response loop. When an incident occurs, a P1 or a P2 trigger should initiate a structured response using predefined escalation paths. No guessing who to call at 2 a.m. The team resolves it using runbooks, debriefs, and immediately feeds those lessons right back into the documentation.
And I want you to remember this number, 15. A mandatory 15-minute debrief after every resolution is, according to Chapter 7 of our source material, the single most effective training event of your entire project. You have to make these 15-minute debriefs mandatory without exception. This is exactly where the real learning solidifies.
Also, to manage your team's psychology mid-migration, which is a vital part of change management, leadership has to actively intervene. You need to monitor for burnout signals and explicitly reinforce that honest mistakes made in a supervised migration context are simply curriculum moments. Actually, scratch that, they aren't just moments, they are learning events, not performance failures. Teams that feel supported during this intense stress are just significantly more resilient.
Let's move to our final area, Section 5, Building Institutional Knowledge, moving from survival to legacy.
Now it's time to turn those temporary survival tactics into a permanent legacy of operational excellence. Knowledge trapped solely in one engineer's head? That's a ticking time bomb for succession planning. Undated static runbooks quickly become massive operational liabilities. You have to transition to living runbooks, maintained documentation with named owners, and strict review cycles to ensure true, lasting resilience.
You lock this knowledge in by converting those raw migration runbooks into a highly searchable internal wiki. But you also have to keep the skills sharp. Conduct quarterly physical networking fire drills to simulate switch failures or routing loops. Furthermore, by integrating continuous learning requirements and advanced certifications directly into formal performance reviews, you signal to your entire staff that mastery of this new physical stack is a permanent requirement. It is not an optional extra.
Okay, let's dive into your immediate homework. This multi-week checklist outlines exactly what you must execute before migration activity even begins. By week 2, confirm your target stack. By week 3, build your role-based training matrix and secure that budget. And by week 4, identify your migration champions and enroll that very first cohort so their success becomes the model for the rest of the team. Because every single week of delay simply increases your cutover risk.
This whole philosophy really boils down to this one perfect quote. Training readiness is migration readiness. You simply cannot separate the technical execution of moving workloads off VCF from the human capability required to keep them alive on the new physical infrastructure.
Which leaves us with one final thought to consider. You will eventually define a technical threshold where this migration becomes completely irreversible. So once that final production workload leaves your old virtualized environment, will your people be fully ready to catch it on the other side? Thank you for joining this explainer. Get out there and start building that training matrix today.